All right. Welcome, everyone. Oh, my goodness. What a wonderful story. Well, not for you, Scott, but hopefully it'll have a good ending. So, Scott, please tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So this past weekend, right outside of Pittsburgh area, just a normal day, man, trying to fly a little bit, and I was at my buddy's camp, and took it over the hill, and I actually stopped and hovered about 389 feet because I was trying to adjust the camera settings, and heard a gunshot. Didn't even think twice about it because I'm in the middle of the country, right?
Right.
So, flying around, I came back and landed, and when I looked, and I'm like, what just happened to this thing? Because the top of it's like blown out. Yeah.
Wow.
So like,
Wow.
I'm like, what just happened, right? So like, and then I'm putting two together, and I'm like, I heard a gunshot. I'm like, there's no way, right? So I'm like, it's got to be. Like, what else could it have been? And so with that being said, like, I sat there and I'm like, what should I do, right? And I thought about it for a little bit, and then I should have took the battery off because I didn't realize how crazy it is. It didn't catch fire, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And
just looking at this one picture here, you can see how bad the battery is.
Right.
The fact that it continued, it landed, right? I mean, it landed. You still flew it, and it was fine, apparently.
yeah. So when I looked at the GPS on the flight records, I actually flew like 3,578 feet. Like, I literally calculated it out from where I was hovering. So I mean, that's what, almost 3/4 of a mile. And even to the point when I was bringing it in and landing it, like, I didn't even notice anything was wrong with it at all. So it's crazy that, like, I didn't notice anything.
So
now I can't. I took the battery out. I can't get another battery in there.
So
it's definitely needs replaced.
It was definitely shot. What caliber of gun do you think that was?
I don't know. I'm not very good at that stuff. I'm not 100% sure. I can tell you that, like, with that kind of height, though, like, you would almost, it couldn't have been a pistol. I mean, I wouldn't think a pistol would even.
How
it's
high?
A pure lock shot, though,
How high were you when it was shot? How high?
389 feet.
Oh yeah, somebody sighted you in with some kind of sniper rifle.
That's a heck of a shot, though.
Yeah.
I was only hovering for like maybe a minute, like not even that, like just enough to like try to mess with the settings a little bit on my camera, and I'm bringing it back in because I was like, it was sunny out, so I'm like, you know what? I don't even think I put a filter on this thing today, so that was the reason I even brought it back in, and then I totally forgot about a filter, of course,
Okay.
because a whole new other thing came on, right?
So yeah.
I did. I thought about it, and then I contacted local authorities and tried to see what options were available, and so I explained what it was and what happened, and I showed my flight record and everything, and they're like, yeah, we'll go talk and we'll see what happens, and we'll go ask a couple questions.
Okay, so first of all, let me just say you're in Pittsburgh or nearby.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
yeah.
And so you went to what police? The state police, your local police? What kind of authority did you go to?
Yeah, like the local authority, yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry about the sizing issue here. This Skype is okay. And so had they ever had any experience with any kind of drone complaints before? Was this seem like the first time?
I don't think so. No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
No, it seemed like it was the first one.
When I spoke with you about this before, you seemed to indicate that not only were the police kind of ignorant of all this, but you actually didn't know that this is a federal crime.
I didn't, because at the end of the day, like, what my main concern is hitting a bird, probably, right? So like, you don't even know. One of those things that, like, the first thing you look up is like, when birds are going around you, like, how do you avoid them the most accurately way? Because that's probably the number one thing that we encounter is, birds swarming around. So the last thing you're thinking of is ever being shot at. So
yeah. All right. Well, let me stop you right there.
I was not educated on that for sure.
Let me stop right there and give it to Jason right now, who can kind of clarify a little bit for us. By the way, Jason Schappert, remotepilot101.com, the place to go if you want to get your Part 107, actually legally make money with your drone, and you can use Heron 18 to get a 30% discount. All right. So tell us a little bit about what law was broken, how he should proceed, because it seems like everyone involved is a little bit clueless, including the shooter who admitted it, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, for sure did the right thing on going to the local law enforcement as a start. Shooting down a drone is a federal offense, as crazy as that sounds. So this fits under what's called Title 18. I came prepared, Ken. I came with my notes and everything else. I want to get it exactly right. Unmanned aircraft are considered an aircraft in the FAA's eyes. We're considered pilots. Our drones are considered aircraft. So Title 18 says sabotage to include the destruction of any aircraft in the special aircraft jurisdiction of the United States. Violation of this code carries a maximum prison sentence of 20 years. And I think they'll pick you up in a Bugatti, Ken. But either way, you don't want to be locked up for 20 years with that one. Title 18 is the same title that forbids, remember, it still happens, but people who go out and point lasers at aircraft or helicopters, and you see the articles, they point at the police helicopter and the police then chase the guy down from there. This is the same title that allows the FCC to prevent us from jamming. That's why the public can't have GPS jamming capabilities, making all these things very much a federal offense. So you're right, you went to the local authorities, but is it going to stop there? Did we find the guy that made this shot, I guess would be the question?
Yeah, so I was told I was going to get a phone call regardless, either way, because they were going to go talk to a couple people, and the guy admitted to it.
Wow!
I literally got a phone call within like 2 hours.
So
wow! And my reaction was, I think I laughed because I couldn't believe someone would admit to it, right?
So he admitted.
He was proud of his shot.
Yeah. Did he admit it in front of the police?
That's who he admitted it to. Yes.
Okay, so.
I don't know who the person is.
Is he in jail? I mean, what's going on?
I don't. All I know is they're going to get a hold of me. That's the last.
Yeah, here's the sticking point, and the sticking point is that the general public dismisses drones because they think that they're toys.
Right.
And they're not. Even if you're a hobbyist, it doesn't matter if you're 107, as long as you are flying legally in the United States airspace, you're covered under this jurisdiction. And Jason, should he take this to different authorities, or how should he proceed? Because I really, now this is totally up to you, Scott, but I just wouldn't let this go, man. I wouldn't let this go. I would call a press conference. Hopefully this gets it some exposure, because this kind of thing will not be tolerated. This is unacceptable.
We can talk about options. So if the police do something, Scott, I'd mentioned them about Title 18 to make sure they're aware, and I know Ken's familiar with Title 18 as well. Either of us can get it to you so you can see it. It's not legally an accident in the FAA's eyes, because yes, it's a high dollar amount that's been damaged, but that dollar amount, remember in the regulations, does not include the damage to the drone. It's persons or property. So it's not, you could report it to the FAA, but you don't go into your FAA drone zone portal and report my drone was shot. Maybe you could. It might be a unique scenario in that case, but I think you need to keep pressing local law enforcement. If they're not willing to play, you may want to go to state law enforcement. You need to get the gentleman's name, though, that admitted to shooting this down, and get the police reports to have your copy with it. Like Ken said, this isn't something I would let sit. People always threaten, I'm going to shoot down Amazon drones when they're flying over. Well, no, you're not. You're not going to do that. That's my Ken Heron impression.
Yeah,
no, you're not.
I was going to ask him.
Was that good, Ken?
That was pretty good. I want to know, Scott, how did you fly your drone all the way from Pittsburgh down to Kentucky? Because I tell you what, the skies are filled with lead in Kentucky. You're not going to spy on me and Emmylou. You're just not going to do it. That's my land. You're spying on me. Emmylou is a looker. Everybody wants to take pictures of her. Sorry, I digress. So
that's a crazy thing, though, because like you said about Amazon, that's going to be a thing of the future. We're going to probably see more deliveries that way, right? So with that being said, it's going to be more of a common thing that we're going to see. So I understand, it's maybe uncomfortable for some people, but
Ignorance is no excuse. Well, I didn't know that murder was illegal. Don't be a moron. Yeah. Just because you don't know about the law doesn't mean you can't break it. So do you think, Jason, if he pushed this, and I don't know if because I don't know if this is a road you want to go down, because this will garner you a lot of attention. You could do some good for the drone community. I don't know how people in the chat are feeling about it. If you want to go down that road, but you could set a precedent. And how do you feel about that? Do you want to pursue this, because the law's on your side?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some thinking to do for sure, don't I?
Yeah, and I really think that I don't know how your local authorities that you already contacted will reply, because they're just going to be like, I'm assuming they don't know a lot, so you might want to go to someone who does. You can contact your local FAA office and get some advice. Jason, what do you suggest?
Well, Scott, did you have insurance for this flight, or do you have insurance on it?
I do, yeah.
I mean,
obviously,
I
don't have my part one.
That Mavic's not flying again. Okay, that for what you're doing, that doesn't matter either way. But that Mavic's not flying again. I mean, based on my limited analysis of it, if I had to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know if you guys can.
There it is.
Yeah,
wow.
You're not.
I don't know. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awful. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's not going anywhere.
At the very least,
I know a lot of times in manned aviation. For example, the insurance company, if there's an issue, the insurance company will be the bad guy, the bad gal, and pursue the damages and the charges. There's an example at a local airport. Gentleman had a G650 Gulfstream. Ken, you're going to have one soon, I promise.
Oh.
Just a few more super chats, and we'll be there. Okay. Guy was pulling out the G650, had some hangar rash, took the wingtip down the entire side of the hangar. The insurance company comes after the business that did that, and they do they're pursuant of that. So you might want to get your insurance company involved here sooner rather than later, in addition to the police, and continue to push the police along and see what happens with that. I think that might be a smart path to go. Insurance would offer a lot, and obviously, like Ken said, you have your local FSDO, Flight Standards District's office. You might want to just give them a friendly little phone call if they're even open right now. Ours here in Florida are still closed, and just put as many feelers out there as you can.
And by FSDO he means by FSDO he means FSDO. That's fancy pilot talk. Sorry, I had to translate for him. But at the very least, you could probably have some kind of small claims to get your property. I mean, you don't want the dude to go to jail for 20 years, but I certainly would want to let him know that he could. He needs to know that he did wrong, that he did really wrong.
It's an interesting point too, Ken, because we don't have that precedent yet. We know, drones and aircraft don't mix. For the few little people who've gotten busted, there's a young kid in New York that hit the military helicopter. And there's been people that have been fined for hitting airplanes or being too close to airplanes. Just a few. We have that precedent now, which kind of tells people, hey, just don't be a dummy. I don't know of anybody who's shot down a drone and actually been fined or, experienced some prison time for it. So you can set a precedent too, and it makes our hobby, our gigs out there that much safer. And, it could be the Scott law before you know it. You could be famous, Scott.
And I had a question, a thought. Also, Ray Hollins in the comments, he said, if a gunshot made that battery rack badly, a crash would be resulting landing in a fireball that's could start a fire or something. I mean, not just the drone falling on somebody's head or just damage of property, but that could have started a big fire somewhere or something like that. And actually, I'm glad to see that you're outside, Scott. I'd be careful of that battery inside your house. Make sure that you don't. Make sure you're storing that safely as evidence, but just don't don't bring it inside without being prepared.
What a good point.
I put it in salt water. I've read that somewhere. Is that correct?
Okay, so you've discharged it fully?
Correct. Yeah, I put it in salt water for about 24 hours.
That should make it inert, and then at that point, the risk is low. But yeah, I'd say be careful still. Keep it in something metallic and keep it outside if possible.
So what do you plan on? How do you plan on proceeding? You want to recoup the cost of your property, certainly, and I would
absolutely
think that you would
first and foremost
want the dude to know that he did a bad thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, I think we all need to be held accountable for certain things we do, and if you don't realize what you did was maybe wrong, it's one of those things you need to realize that you just can't go around doing that. Mm-hmm. And also, you just can't go around shooting guns in the air either.
Yeah, good point.
Well, he sounded like he was proud. Jason's right that he made the shot. It's
a heck of a shot. I mean, 389 feet in the air.
Right?
It's just one of these people that just sticks in my craw, and they're just, and I'm sorry to put on an accent when I do it, but you go fly over my property and take pictures of me soon. They're just never going to change their mind. That's just the way they're just.
That was a conversation that we were having. The Nextdoor app where you can sign up and you kind of have your neighbors, and it's all kind of a community message board. Something happened we were talking about drones flying over and how it could be something with the deliveries and everything. And a large amount of people were talking about, target practice time and talking about how they would shoot stuff down. And I was on there trying to tell people, that's not cool to do. And I was getting a lot of flack for saying that. It's kind of like people weren't taking it seriously. So, of course, people are maybe just saying things. But, I think it should be known, more public knowledge that is really a serious offense to do something like that.
Yeah. Now, before we let you go, I just wanted to, and Jason, both of you, I wanted to ask Jason specifically about remote ID and how it pertains to the FPV community. We have a lot of FPV people watching tonight, I'm sure.
Yes.
Ed, Jason, maybe you guys could speak to that a little bit, because it seems like just the FPV people that I've talked to about this recently, that it's going to kill the hobby.
Well, the hobby, the racing, man, I get it, but we still are going to have to find a way to play by the rules. And I understand the FPV versus photography drones play two totally different roles in this great hobby and career for many of us as well. But remote ID still does apply to these FPV drones, and it's going to add a unique element to it, especially like in the racing community and stuff where weight and aerodynamics are such a big thing. What does a remote ID chip even look like? Like, we don't know. We're years from having this. It's all just government paperwork right now, but there's a lot of questions. But I don't know, Ed, what do you hear, in that community more so?
It's definitely a consideration that we're all thinking about, but it's one of those things we don't really, I guess, know the final word. The FAA was going to let us know, I think it was by the end of the year we'd actually know what was going on. But then I know we have big business like Amazon trying to push for the FAA to act even sooner. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but we're keeping an eye on it. There are different Facebook groups that I'm involved with, FPV related, where we talk about these types of things. And without getting into any of the weeds, especially because, with the partnership that you have with Ken and everything, I don't want to exactly say maybe what I might continue to do, but it's one of those things that, yes, to be within the letter of the law and to be safe and responsible, we're just going to have to find some of those ways to find those areas, those FRIAs, where maybe we can fly and maybe get a little creative with how we can create these tracks or these freestyle environments, and maybe see if there's a way for us to at least expand a little bit and talk with the city. I know I've attended some of the Parks and Rec meetings and some of the council meetings at Raleigh to see what we can do with drones to maybe make it a little more lenient for us, because even before the remote ID situation, my city, Raleigh, North Carolina, was kind of cracking down on drones and where you can fly and what you can do. And I think we were talking about earlier how there's only 6 out of maybe 90-something parks in Raleigh where you can even fly right now. So what happens when remote ID comes in? Too soon to tell, but we're keeping an eye on it, and we hope that we can at least, do what we love to do and keep flying and keep keep enjoying our Sunday afternoon.
That was very diplomatic, Ed. But truth is, there's going to be a lot of pirate pilots out there, no matter what.
There's a space for that, though, even, Ken. I don't mean to keep going and taking time here, but in manned aviation, we have certified aircraft. Those are your Cessnas, your Pipers of the world. And then there's a whole category called experimental, which is literally home-built aircraft. And there's some of the most widely popularized segment of aviation. We have home-built drones. Could the FAA consider giving us a segment such as experimental, where we have rules, we just have a subset of rules, and maybe remote ID doesn't apply to that subset. So that's an option as well. I know so many racers that are home-built drones. A lot of the FPV community is where you see that home-built component to things. So that's something, Ed and Ken, to really keep your eyes out on. Can we get some experimental rules in place instead of just Part 107 for everybody?
Right. Very good. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time there, Jason. And Scott, I wish you the best of luck as you move forward. Maybe there's somebody
thank you very much.
Watching who.
Hey, Jason, thanks for coming on, man.
Maybe there's somebody watching who knows somebody in the legal community who might advise you or give you some help that has some drone expertise, because I know there's some law offices that have that expertise available to you.
Definitely. And Jason, get a hold of me. He's got my information. Maybe I've got a couple questions or something if you don't mind. And I'll keep you guys in the loop, Ken.
Absolutely. And remotepilot101.com is a great resource. Even if you're not signed up, and you should, because with the Heron 18 discount, it's only like $104. You can call them anytime. You can do chats, send them email, ask them a question. They're a great resource. remotepilot101.com. All right.
Thanks. Cool.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for being on. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Nice meeting you both.
All right. See you, man. Hi, this is Digital Ken, inviting you to check out my second channel, Side B. You'll hear actual prank phone calls digitally enhanced by Upper Deck Media's animations. Kind of like what you're seeing right here, only a little bit less creepy.